once again to our 45th number of Inspire Internship Program, sponsored by Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. It's a great privilege for me to welcome and introduce all of you to Dr. Ranjan Nanda, who is currently working as a staff research scientist at International Center for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology, ICGB, New Delhi. Dr. Ranjan Nanda has obtained his master degree in life sciences from Sambalpur University, then doctorate degree from IIT Kharagpur. His team is working on to develop electronic nose-based early point of care diagnosis device for different disease conditions like adult pulmonary tuberculosis and childhood pneumonia using breath-edge metrics. His research activities of his laboratory are supported by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, grants in Canada, and Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. So I welcome you and I request you to please very
every biotechnology engineer or genetic engineer.
Good afternoon, and everyone is active. It's because you're taking some glucose dose, right? Good. Fructose, sucrose. It's mixture of all, right? Okay. Not aspartame. What is aspartame? Anyway, I'll not go into that detail. So thanks to Sanjukta Naris, she was my senior during master, and she ragged me also in the class. And now we are colleagues, and thank you all. And what I do expect is that a few people are sleeping, so please don't sleep in between. Yeah, and please, if you are not attentive, I'll come to you and ask some questions. Right? I don't know why the Chinese student always occupy the last bench here. Okay, great. So we need a little bit of crosstalk. You know, those days are gone. Like somebody comes and talks, only gives on what is it, sermons, right? Our spiritual gurus also do that, and teachers also sometimes do. I'm not a teacher. I'm just like a little bit, couple of years older than you, have a little bit of more experience and certain things. But I'm sure you guys must have lots of other productive skills. Like somebody might be artist, somebody might be, you know, a wizard or something. But again, you know, my topic is on tuberculosis. Anyone in this room is aware of pulmonary tuberculosis? What is TB? I understand it's a very difficult thing to sift from astronomy to clinical research, but you guys are smart enough to handle it, right? Okay, so what is tuberculosis? Sorry? Yeah? Okay. It's a bacterial disease. Okay, fine. Okay, how do I say? So, you know, 1/3 of world population is infected with TB, and I will not be surprised to find 2/3 of this classroom, including me, to be one of those infected patients. So, tuberculosis is caused by a bacteria, as you rightly mentioned, and there are 2 to 10 million new cases are there reported every year, and 2 to 3 million deaths are happening because of one specific infectious disease. And the biggest burden is in low research countries, and the problem is a lot. And you see, this is the world estimated TB incident rate in world. And you see this part of the world is our country, right? It's very yellow and dirty, right? Because 21% of all TB patients are present in our country. 21% of world TB populations are there in our country, and 25% of world TB population are present in total continent of Africa. So as far as TB load is concerned, the number is very equivalent to what we see in Africa. You see, it's quite surprising. And again, China reports 14% of world TB population. But again, as we are Indian, we don't believe much of Chinese information because they always underrepresent their disease. And that doesn't mean that India also represents the accurate figure. India also underrepresents the actual TB-related deaths. Okay, but we are a little bit better than Bangladesh and Pakistan, and we feel happy about it. And see, the place where we are in, this is Khoda district, right? One of it, and it has also high TB incidence rate. Is it we are aware of such figures? I just wanted to give you some brief idea, like why we have to spend a couple of seconds, couple of minutes, or couple of hours on tuberculosis. Okay, and just for your information, we have 1 million TB patients were not even detected in 2013. So, if we are not detecting 1 million TB patients in India, that means most of the TB patients will, maybe the effective drugs, if a person doesn't take, will develop resistance, right? So, there's a very nice story came in June of 2015, an Indian TB patient. It's from a very good family. It's not like he's a poor chap and doesn't have enough opportunity to go hospital and all. So this lady, she went to Australia to diagnose TB. And somebody told her, oh no, you are suffering from TB. Why don't you come to the project? There is some free chair. Oh, it's there also. Okay. So this lady went to Australia to get TB diagnosis done. And once she knows that okay, she is having TB, she didn't believe it. She went to United States, to Maryland. And unfortunately, this TB patient was suffering from a drug-resistant TB infection for which we don't have lots of available antibiotics that can effectively cure this patient. So she went to Maryland, and you know what United States government did? So they monitored, like they took the details of every passenger sitting beside her. And now they are going to those co-passengers' home to understand like whether they are also got some exposure to drug-resistant TB and they are starting therapy, right? So this you have TB, go to the doctor, get yourself diagnosed, start your treatment, and get cured, and contribute for your family's growth as well as your society's growth, right? But if you have TB or if you have HIV, you don't have to, why you cannot accept it? It's just an infection. If you are getting malaria, we think like, oh, artemisinin is there, for which a couple of days before a lady from China got Nobel Prize, 50% went to her. So why we cannot accept certain things, right? Amitabh Bachchan. It's not surprising that but Amitabh Bachchan had also TB infection. He went to the doctor, got himself tested, found it is TB positive, initiated therapeutic interventions, 6 months of therapy completed and become a healthy person. But just think about if Amitabh Bachchan will say like I'm the star of the country and I cannot have MTB infections. But it's not true. Maybe MTB is a better star than Amitabh Bachchan, right? Okay. And the problem is like, this is the ugly face of tuberculosis. Okay? He's a daily wage worker. What does it mean? Like only resource poor settings people can have TB infection? Just see the next news. The doctor died of exterior TB. It's because it's not a poor man or an uneducated people doesn't take medication. Even the doctor who has saved lots of lives, he also stopped taking treatment because he was, fed up. 2008, he got first infection, took complete medication, got cured, and then again 2014 he was affected with XDR TB. XDR is nothing but extreme drought resistance TB mycobacterium, and for which we don't have effective antibiotics to treat. And the clinician was served maybe like more than 20 years in one of the best hospitals in Bombay. If you guys get chance to visit Bombay, go to Amitabh Bachchan's house, doesn't matter. If you have time, go to Sivri Hospital, or else you can search it in Google Maps and see like one of the best, one of the biggest TB hospital in the country. And this guy was serving there, his MBBS. Okay. So what are different type of TB? Always we think like, oh, person should cough, take out sputum sample, and then in the sputum we should find that mycobacterium. And if it is positive, then you treat the TB patient. And most of one, pulmonary tuberculosis is the common symptom. But it doesn't mean that you may not have some extrapulmonary TB. So extrapulmonary TB, what does it mean? There's a clinician from Bhubaneswar, the same in this place, reported like NTB is present in the eye of certain patients. So if you take ocular fluid, it's just like sputum, you do a sputum microscopy, you will see, and you stain it, you will find MTB positive sample. So if your eye can also be infected with it. Similarly, there are bone TB, and it's a clear case of lymphoid TB. If you get a bulging here, go to the doctor, get yourself tested. It's the simplest thing, right? And now the testing and all it's free of cost. So why we should not go and get ourselves tested if we have some symptoms of cough, 2 weeks of cough, and then blood in sputum sample. So whenever you are pulling out the sputum, right? If it has some blood contamination, we should go take the help of a clinician to diagnose whether we have TB or not. And then night sweats. If you sweat at night, it's just like in malaria, you get sweats, right? And then fever, chills, weight loss, fatigue. Who is this guy? At least the students from the back, like Sainik school students will tell. Who is this guy? Sorry? Little bit louder? Alfred Nobel. Alfred Nobel? Oh no. Unfortunately, this guy got the first Nobel Prize in physics in 1901. Who is this guy? So what he discovered? And how we use it? We use X-ray, right? Very commonly. We take chest X-ray, we find some nodules and all, then we tell like, okay, this person might be suffering from TB. But that doesn't mean that a pneumonia patient's chest X-ray will not be similar to TB infected patient. So it does good job, but again the sensitivity is 50%. So what we do? We do a skin test. In skin test is nothing but we take some PPD, the purified protein derivative of MTB strains, inject it, and then see inflammation. And based on that, we say like, okay, the person is exposed to TB or not. Who is this guy? I'm sure it's not Alfred Nobel. Sorry? This is the guy. Okay. So what is his contribution? Discovery of He has discovered the agent for tuberculosis, cholera, and anthrax, and 1905 Nobel Prize winner. Who is this guy?
Patients suffering from
Anyone who produces sputum, right? So what is sputum? Every day morning we also produce some mucus. Is that mucus in the sputum is different or it's same? It's the compositions are same. Right? If something comes about the mucus, why we need mucus? Because when we inhale, we take the room air, right? And room air is full of lots of dust. Huh? Exactly. So there are lots of particles. They trap in the mucus. How much mucus a person produces per day? Couple of liters. It depends upon the size of the individual. Absolutely yes. Elephant will produce definitely more mucus than human generally produce close to 200 liters of mucus. It's huge, right? But where that mucus goes, if it is produced to come out, most of the time it goes to the intestine and get digested, right? But in TB patients, what happens? Because of infection-induced inflammation, mucus production is more, and when mucus is produced more, the person has to throw it out. So it is good for the host or good for the bacteria? Absolutely. It's actually good for both. The host wants to get rid of maximum of NTB present in the mucus, but NTB uses this tool to transmit from one patient to the other guy. So NTB is smart or host is smart? Okay. So from the sputum, if you do some microscopy test, you prepare a small smear, then stain it, you see mycobacterium looks like this pink color rod-like structures, 2 into 1 micrometer in the length. And these are all the methods. So what next? Next is, can we isolate those MTB present in the sputum of the person and then put it for culture? It's just like we take bread. If you keep some unutilized bread on the kitchen somewhere, you see growth of fungus, right? And that has some particular smell, right? So the fungus is there in the room air. You have given the bread. Bread is rich in carbohydrate, glucose, fructose, and all, and then it grows, right? Similarly, let's say from the sputum, you will isolate the mycobacterium, the bacteria, and then you'll put it on culture media. Culture media is rich in glucose or cholesterol or whatever the MTB likes to as nutrient. So there are specific nutrient mediums. That is called, one is egg-based media. It's called LJ media. Still people uses it, and there is another liquid culture. Like in milk, if you keep it for a longer time, you see, it smells bad, right? Is why it smells bad. The milk is rich in casein, right? Casein is one of the proteins. And it smells bad. Why? Because of fermentation. So fermentation is contributed by bacteria, right? So similarly, like if we give some growth media and inoculate the mycobacterium, it grows. But it takes good amount of time. Couple of weeks. Let's say one TB patient is coming whose BMI is really low. We do expect, because you saw that early tuberculosis patients. The BMI is really low, and if we don't initiate therapeutic intervention on the same day, you may lose the TB patient. It will die before your age is now. So, and this is very costly. You need AC room, well-trained people to handle those samples. And this is a very recent technology came in 2012, where you just collect the sputum of a TB patient, dissolve it with some mucolytic agents, and then load it into a cartridge. And it does, I'm sure you guys must be aware of PCR, polymerase chain reaction. No, DNA? DNA? Okay, so what it does is that it detects MTV specific DNA. Right? And through amplification technology, it takes less than 2 hours. And it's very simple. Sensitivity and specificity is equivalent to what we see in the culture. But one more thing is that it's very costly. So TB is really, for me, it's really a big problem. After I finished my PhD from Kharagpur, I went to ICGB, and my boss told me like we have to work on TB. And I felt like TB, I'm not aware that TB is really a big problem. So once I started collecting information, with time I decided that in my lifetime, I will develop something that could be useful, or that can be used in any village of our country. Can we develop such tool? So easy to use tool. So we'll not take serum sample, because for serum collection, you and me, we are not trained. Only clinician or certain specific people who are trained to collect blood samples, they will do. So let's think completely different, right? And that is what is the aim of my team. So what happens in a disease condition? We are healthy, we get some infection. After infection, what happens? Temperature increases. If body temperature increases, we feel lethargy. It's because maybe most of our ATP what we are synthesizing for our own sustenance, most of them is used by the microbe. Protein what we are synthesizing for our structural growth, like muscle, bones. The oxygen is also and using those. So the total energy what we are using is partly used for our own maintenance, right? So we are losing a lot because of infection. So can we stop it? And another interesting thing is that after infection, your appetite goes down. Although your mother says like take 2 glasses of milk, but you are not anymore, it's because the pathogen has secreted something, very minute amount of certain molecules that has stopped, you stopped certain hormones to execute their action, leading to loss or lack of respect. So, in an infection, what do we expect? We do expect alteration at different molecular levels. Like, we talked about DNA. DNA is not here. Okay. DNA. And there are other components. Like, I'm sure you guys are aware of proteins. There are lots of proteins present in our body and which is required, whether it is for immunity or everyday activity, right? Proteins get modified, and sometimes metabolites also get altered. Let's say in a diabetic subject, what do you expect? Which molecule gets changed significantly? Diabetes, glucose increases, right? And then if we can quantify glucose concentration in the serum or blood of a patient who is a suspect of diabetes, then you can monitor. So if glucose concentration increases, what do you expect to happen? If there are more glucose, sorry? It will be thicker? Okay. So let's say if there is some infection to a diabetic patient, what will happen? The glucose concentration is more, and the pathogen will grow also more now than a normal healthy subject. So if you see like some diabetic patients get some scar or some small,
difficult to heal.
Sorry?
It gets difficult to heal.
Yes, because of what?
Because the bacteria doesn't allow the body.
It's because glucose is more, bacteria grows more. So whatever the antibiotics you are giving is not sufficient enough, leading to maximum loss of tissue. right? And the repair is compromised. So this is just one example of like how metabolite analysis could be useful to differentiate a disease condition from the healthy subjects. And my team deals with a couple of omics related technologies like proteomics, metabolomics, volatolomics. So these are nothing but like when you see or when you try to understand what is happening in a global scale. Like if you just talk about glucose, it's a very targeted molecule, one molecule. But let's say how many metabolites we do expect in our body. There are 20 standard amino acids. There are lots of monosaccharides, plenty of disaccharides, lots of polysaccharides, lots of modified amino acids, lots of hormones, lots of macromolecules. Even dipeptides, tripeptides also you do expect to be present in the biofluid, right? So like that, a metabolite is nothing but if the molecular mass is less than 1500 Dalton, it is called as a metabolite. So we do expect how many metabolites in the human body? Numerous. In thousands, in lakhs? At least couple of thousands. And there are lots of metabolites people are still identifying. Lots of unknown metabolites are also there. Right? Okay. So what we thought is, well, let's go back. In 17th century, 16th century, people used to use color, smell, and taste of urine to diagnose disease. Is it funny? Oh no, it's not acceptable. But you see, the pregnancy test is used, like you take urine sample and do pregnancy test, right? So the other way is like when the glucose level is more, like after urination you see like the ants and other things, they go. So that's the preliminary indicator of the body metabolism has really, changed because of certain either infection or any metabolic defect. So these biofluids really indicates our physiological status. So what we thought is, can we develop something like a urine TB test so that the patient can go? Sputum is used very commonly for adult tuberculosis diagnosis. But children, they don't produce sputum. So the TB diagnostic test that is available for adult case detection cannot be applicable for the children. And because their lung is relatively weaker than even we, right? And the lung is still developing, basically. And what in children TB case detection, what you do is that you put saline and take their gastric aspirate and use it for case detection. But it is a little bit painful, they may experience those problems. So what we thought is that, let's say in tuberculosis patient, if there are certain metabolites either secreted from mycobacterium or it has induced any alteration in the subject and certain metabolic activities has got deregulated. If we can identify those metabolites from urine of TB patients, then we could possibly can develop some easy to use tools that could possibly be useful for aged TB patients, adult TB patients, and childhood TB patients. And it has lots of advantages. Like you can collect as much as you want. It doesn't like it's very it doesn't change too much. It's completely non-infectious, like sputum, which contains live NTP. But if you don't handle really well, it might also infect you. So you have to be extremely careful. So what we thought is that let's take urine of TB patients in glass vial and then heat it. And whatever the micromolecules are released to the head space. Head space is nothing but the space above this urine sample. This gas volume, molecular composition will change based on, like after heating, whatever micromolecules are present in the urine of TB patients, you heat it, the molecules will come to the headspace, you run into a spectroscopic instrument, I'll show you how it looks like, and then if we find the healthy urine metabolite profile and TB patients' metabolite profile are different, just